What's up, guys? This is another episode of Off the Post. I'm your host, DJ Redcap, with another NWSL review. This is good fun, and it's sad at the same time because this is our last show of the regular season. I see a lot of people crying down there. Jen Hayes, she was sad. She got some tissues before the show, was wiping her face. So we're all pretty disappointed about this being our last show. But we have something to look forward to, the playoffs, which are going to be extremely exciting. We'll touch on that a little bit later. We'll also, the 12th, we're going to have a playoff special, spectacular. We might have something special, we might not. You never know with us since we give away a lot of stuff anyway, so tune in for that. Let's talk to our panelists first and see what they've been up to lately. Most of them have been working, or in Jen Carl's case, becoming popular. So let's see what happens. What's been going on this weekend? Start with you first, Karen.
I've just been writing, trying to keep out of the heat. It's been kind of hot here. That's about it. Writing, keeping out of the heat.
All right, all two good things. Yes, it has been very hot everywhere. It's been hot here, so I can understand that. We're going to jump to Jen Hayes and see what she's been up to lately.
Well, other than the writing, I have been trying to stay out of the heat as well because it has been hot here too as well.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
that and watching whatever games I can.
Yeah, it's like a little mini heat wave for the Midwest, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
And now we're going to jump to that Spirit fan, as some of you know her. You've seen her at games. You've seen her at different places in the world. Sometimes she's in England. Sometimes she's in France. We're going to go over to Jen Carl. How have you been doing with your new celebrity status, Jen Carl?
Went to 2 games this weekend, so that was cool. And actually, people knew me at both, which was weird. But yeah, not working for once, which is lovely. And happy anniversary, by the way. That's a thing today.
Oh,
Hey!
yeah. Yes, people, as you know, this is the 6th-month anniversary of Off the Post, so as I can see that we have viewers tuning in, you've tuned into an Off the Post spectacular. We should give something away today, but we didn't think about it, so we're going to give something away next week, but stay tuned in. Don't worry. You might hear of, or give us, we might discuss on air what we might want to give away, right, guys? I don't know. We'll do that for the fans. We'll brainstorm. But let's jump into the NWSL action, and we know the oh-so-important Fishlock controversy we will talk about a bit later, so stay tuned in for that if you want to get in the discussion. We'll check on Twitter with the hashtag WoSoTalk, or you can post on Facebook and we'll read it from there. Let's start first with the game that disappointed me a bit at first, but then I was able to get through it pretty well. Sky Blue versus FC Kansas City. We're going to start with you first, Jen Hayes. What were your thoughts on how FC Kansas City played?
They actually played really well. They came so close to breaking Sky Blue's record for shutout minutes. You're probably pretty happy, Dwayne, that they didn't break that record, so it's still Sky Blues. I think they've probably been the most informed team. I know Karen will probably disagree with me, think it's Seattle, but Kansas City has been the most informed team in the past month or so. So I expected them to win, and they did. You know, Sky Blue did make it interesting, but they look sharp like they always do. You know, had that good possession game going. A-Rod got offside lots of times like she always does. It was a solid effort for them. Little weak defensively. That was kind of a surprise that Sky Blue was able to put 2 goals on them, since they've been doing pretty well with that. So it was a fun game. I enjoyed it. I was on the edge of my seat until the last whistle.
Karen, was it a surprise that Sam Kerr was amazing, as you've been saying every time she steps on the pitch?
No, not surprised. She doesn't surprise me anymore. She just keeps being awesome. So the thing is, too, is actually Kansas City has been the most sustainably good team throughout at least the last couple of weeks. Unfortunately, they still kind of bore me, and I don't know what it is. It's just like I'm bored. I don't know why. I have no idea. Maybe their goals are boring. I don't know, but they bore me. But I mean, good for Sky Blue, breaking the shutout record, or not allowing them to have the shutout record, I should say. Sam Kerr is just a genius. She pulled those goals out of, well, the first one she pulled out of nowhere. The second one was just a really good ball into the center, and she put it home, which is what you do as a forward. The only thing is, when the game started, it was kind of like very like choppy and weird, and Sky Blue wasn't like connecting at all, and it just looked really bad for a little while. And that disappointed me because I had just come off of watching them do really well against Reign, and so I was like, yeah, they're gonna like kick butt, right? And then they were just like very like just plodding around the field. They totally picked it up, which was exciting, but I really think that they
the thing is, it's funny, Karen, that you said that how FC Kansas City was boring. See, that's coming from a Chelsea fan, and we all know what people were saying about Chelsea last year. Boring, boring, Chelsea. So if she thinks FC Kansas City was boring, then they were playing boring out there. So that's understood. I'm really listening to Karen on that one for saying that.
Yeah. I'm not going to disagree.
So, Jen Carl, what were your overall thoughts on the game?
At first, Sky Blue, I thought kind of looked like crap. They just weren't, like Karen said, they weren't connecting well. They weren't doing really anything that they needed to do. And then Sam Kerr decided to tip things for them a little bit, like she always does. So, awesome job by Sam Kerr once again. And Sky Blue did look a little bit better in the second half, but yeah, echoing Heron, it was kind of dull to watch. I mean, Sky Blue playing very choppy, and then Kansas City just kind of doing what Kansas City does every game. There wasn't really anything too spectacular about that game for me, except Sam Kerr. But shout out to Jen Muskowski for starting in all 66 NWSL matches. And shout out to Kansas City, because I think they're the only team now who's been in the playoffs all 3 years. So
that's a good point.
They have.
It's really boring. No, just kidding.
Once again, I see we have more viewers. If you guys want to jump in on discussion, just post on one of those Facebook blogs, because I think a lot of you guys were from Facebook I was talking to today. Post on one of the message boards you see, or a message on Facebook, and we'll jump you in and say some of your comments, or also on Twitter, use the hashtag WillSoTalk. But it looks like we're getting a lot of viewers to wrap up the season. You guys must have really enjoyed the season. But I guess it's my turn to talk about Sky Blue. Well, Sky Blue. Second half of the season was good. First half was rough. We were one of those teams that really, obviously. Fortunately, we have the Olympics to look forward to next season. So, this is going to be a mess again, probably. We'll see. But it was fun watching them. I mean, they looked like a real attacking team near the end of the year. And like I said, our best player by far was like one of our most impactful players. I could say it was either Sam Kerr or KO. Because like when they came into the team, you just saw how different we looked going forward. As for FC Kansas City, going into the playoffs again, consistency really held through with them. I think they were a team a lot of people forgot about because they were so consistent. Their defense was pretty solid for the most part with Lapelbit and Sauerbrunn, but it's going to be interesting to see what they do because they were real quiet this whole year. They just did what they had to do. They kept winning their games, but it wasn't, I guess like you said, exciting, Karen, to watch a lot of the times. So I want to see, will the firepower start clicking? Like we're going to see more of A-Rod and Holiday scoring a ton of goals going forward. And then will it just everything start to click for them in the playoffs? Because overall, it was just very consistent. That's a major word for them. But it was a great season. You make it to the playoffs. That's all that matters. I can't say the same for Sky Blue. Now let's go into another team we can't say the same for, the Flash versus the Thorns. Oh, two teams you can't say a lot for. This was a game that got the Ali Long troll goal. We'll tell you why that was a troll goal in a minute. Let's start first with you, Jen Carl. Because you were at that game. Tell us what it was like to be at that game.
Cold. For some reason, every time I go to Rochester, it's like freezing. I don't know what it is up there. I need to stop going to Rochester apparently. But yeah, no, it was actually kind of fun to watch. The Flash scored like the 8th minute or so, which was nice because they hadn't scored in like 188. So that was nice to see. It was kind of fun just to watch them kind of get their crap back together and end out the season the way that they did. And you know, if Portland is going to score a goal, I always want it to be one of two players, either Tobin Heath or Jodie Taylor. Tobin didn't score, but Jodie Taylor did. So you know, it was good to see that from her too. I think she'll be a really good potential force for the English national team. Kind of sad we don't have her in Washington anymore, but that happens. I thought Jasmine Spencer actually had a pretty fantastic game up top. Sam Hughes, of course, had a great game. So the Flash just decided they wanted to come in for the last game this week. I don't know if they just have something against Portland, maybe they have something against Anderson, join the club. So
join the club. Uh-oh.
It's good. It was really fun to watch, except that Allie Long goal. I cannot believe that actually happened. I was very upset about that.
I can.
All right, so let's go to our residential Spirit fan. Not Spirit fan, Flash fan. My mistake. Tell us about your Flash this season.
Okay, well, I want to talk about the game first. We actually had a power outage here that night, so I had to watch the game on my phone. So that was kind of not fun. But I didn't care. I had the biggest grin on my face because that first 25 minutes was beautiful. It was absolutely wonderful. We were really taking it to Portland. Paul Riley thought, I'll play a 3-back and on the widest pitch in the field. Surprise, surprise, they gave up 3 goals right away. Bad defensive mistakes. Kat Williamson had a horrible half for them before she rightfully got yanked. But on the Flash side, Sam Mewis showed up. That was the best game I saw from Dahlkemper in, probably all year. As you said, Carl Spencer was great. Chantel Jones had one of her games where sometimes she was brilliant and other times you wonder what planet she was on. That second goal probably is like she should have had that one. First Portland goal was kind of on Brittany Taylor because she let the ball deflect off of her right to Morgan, who did make a really good run and then got a good cross off to Taylor. But yeah, very strong effort. I wish the Flash had played like that earlier. Maybe we would have had a chance at the playoffs, maybe, possibly. But no, it was a fun night. Can't really complain. Nice to end the season with a win and hopefully add in some good pieces in the off season and get back to the playoffs.
Now, Karen, was the Allie Long goal the best part of the night for you?
Oh my God, I was cheering. I was like standing up and like, yes! It was, I was just so excited about it. I was just dying. I was so excited about it. No, actually, it was like the worst thing ever. But whatever. 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 I will admit that she had a really good free kick. I actually thought that was going to curl in. That was going to be ridiculous. But, I mean, she's a good player, but man, when she scored, I was like, all right. Anyways, the game, though. The game was actually a really wicked game from the Flash. I was super excited to see them come out so strong in the first 25 minutes. Mewis was awesome. She kind of dropped off for a little bit. I think she started really well, and then middle of the season she dropped off, and then she ended really well. Obviously, she had a goal and an assist. So she was awesome. Heyman has been a really good addition, apparently, for the Flash. And what I want to see is that they take this last game and they kind of run with it into the off season and figure out how to keep those pieces together and keep performing like that because they were really good. The Thorns, I have no idea what happened to them or what's going on. Tobin was great. Alex Morgan had some bright spots. And I really think that they can work with the Taylor and Morgan combo. I think that they had some really good connections during the game. So if they can get that going, it could be really good for the Thorns. I don't know what's wrong with Paul Riley, but that exactly like what Jen Hayes said, that starting with the 3 in the back, that was so stupid. I was just like, okay, and you guys are stupid. I don't know what they were thinking. But, yeah, it was a good Flash game. It really was.
I just said it was stupid because Stanley Stadium has the widest pitch in the league, so that is a lot more ground to cover. You can probably get away with that at a smaller field like Chicago or Seattle, but on a field that size, that's just asking for trouble.
So stupid.
Yeah, for me, like,
I think Riley was just missing RB8. He didn't want to put somebody in there because he knew I would be heartbroken, so he just left that spot open.
I think you're right.
so he was looking out for you, right? Understandable. Yeah, for me, it was the best game for the Flash this year. Sam Mewis played amazing. It was good to actually see her kick it back in after it was funny. The commentator was like, "Oh, Sam Mewis is falling off," and then she just went off and just basically took over the whole game. I was like, "Yeah, there you go." And good team. Other than that, she looked like she really controlled everything that they were doing attacking wise. As for the Thorns, it was such a weird team. All that attacking talent, when it finally came together, it was just it's way too late at the end of the season. And then just to see, like I said, Jody Taylor, Alex Morgan, Tobin Heath, the great Allie Long. It's just amazing that. I say something funny, guys. It's just amazing. It's just amazing that this team, like I said, wait until it comes together. Maybe next year everyone's healthy or able to sit. But then, like I said, we got the Olympics, so we don't really know what this team is going to be about next season either. I'm guessing Paul Riley is going to be getting unemployment next year. So we'll see what happens with this team. It's very interesting because they feel like they should always be at the top of the league with all their power, I feel like. But they're right where they need to be, I feel like, because of how they played this whole season.
Mm-hmm.
And as I said, it was the troll thing because I predicted Allie Long would score a goal, and no one else predicted it, so I feel good about myself. Thank you very much. I seen Karen. It was funny. Karen's just posted about it. No, this is wrong. It was very funny. Just ruined everyone's game right there. You had one thing to do, Flash.
Sorry, our defense sucks.
It happens.
It's really not great, but that's okay. You guys scored 3 goals, which was more.
But let's jump into this Chicago Red Stars versus the Dash real quick. This was a game that, I don't know, it didn't impress me too much, I guess. Karen, what were your thoughts on Chicago Red Stars?
Which gen?
Let's go Karen then, because I can't decide what gen.
Okay.
I don't know. It was a pretty good game. I'm impressed with Dash for getting that goal. Ella, as always.
Yeah.
She's just been super good up front, and I don't know. I just like her a lot. Good for them keeping her from taking her shirt off again, I guess. Kind of wanted her to, but that's okay.
All right. What? Go on.
The Red Stars were, they've been playing the same the last couple of games, and they haven't really been that impressive for me. I've been expecting more out of them. Press, as always, has been impressive. Sorry. I had to. And I don't know, the back line has been kind of bad. Not bad, but for Chicago, kind of bad. They're just not connecting the way that I've been expecting them to, and it's been a couple games now. I expected them to beat Dash, but they did not. They tied, so we'll see what they do in the playoffs. Like I said, they might be saving it all up for the playoffs, and then they're just going to, destroy everybody. Who knows?
That's how I keep feeling about FC Kansas City, too. Are these teams just waiting for the playoffs to turn it on? They just have the key on they're just in neutral and they're all pushing the card and then they're going to just turn it actually over. So it's weird with them and FC Kansas City are in the same light for me right now, how they're playing, those two teams. Except Chicago keeps losing and drawing and then getting one win, but I understand where you're coming from. Yeah. Jen Carl, your thoughts on Ella Massar up front? Should they have done it earlier this year or should they have minutes?
Yeah, I think she was really great in the back. She was much needed back there for a little while, kind of holding down the fort. But she's a forward. I mean, when you play a forward up front, those are the results you're going to get. I've said that all along with Crystal Dunn. Jill Ellis, as fantastic as she is, always plays Dunn as a defender. She scored 15 goals this season. You know, you play a forward up top, that's what you're going to get.
Yep.
So I think Master definitely should be playing up top. Again, she did great in the back for most of the season, but she's a natural forward. So I love seeing her up there. I love seeing her score those goals, and I hope they continue to play her there.
Yeah, and their team was a thing where after the whole Stephanie Roach thing didn't work out, it was just like, who else is going to score? And they just couldn't find really any other scoring. McDonald could score so much. McCarthy didn't give him much. And Ohio, she, like I said, she's really passive at times. She'll look to cross the ball. She looks more so to be a playmaker than actually a scorer herself. So when Carly came in, they were like, oh, we're getting goals, and everyone figured that out pretty quick. Ames, buckle down on her, and then let's see what the rest of the team can do. So Massar scoring goals was something they needed, another forward to score goals for some time now. And Jen Hayes, your overall thoughts on that game?
The Heat killed it. I mean, you could tell. I mean, they said Henderson had to come off because of heat exhaustion. So, and that's probably because she has one of the best work rates in the league. She's always working hard. So that wasn't really a surprise, but you could tell it was hot. The pace was so slow. I think both teams had some good chances. I've been critical of Karina LeBlanc in the game she's played. I don't think but man, was she on fire. I think she knew it was probably going to be her last game ever. She's like, I want to go out with a bang. Leave a good impression on my fans who have followed me all these years. But she kept Chicago in that game long enough for Press to get the equalizer, which she had been kind of quiet most of the game, and then boom, she gets one opportunity, puts it away. Other than that, yeah, it was kind of a slow game. Other than Press, two players actually stood out to me. Gilliland was the usual solid self, and I thought Colaprico was the best player on the pitch yesterday. Even though she didn't get a goal, she was just everywhere. And that slide to save a second goal, that was just, I was like, oh, wow, she is really going all out. So, good game for those two. I was kind of hoping Houston would get the win just to say we got one against Chicago, but I think a draw is a fair result.
Well, I just have this shout out real quick. Someone said I had to say it on air. Kios Zero commented, Sky Blues is my favorite team. I wish they'd win more. I wish so too, buddy. Thanks for watching. But yeah, as for these two teams, sorry I had to get it out there. I saw the comment. I said, oh, come on, Sky Blue fan, let's go. Yeah, for me, it's so weird with Chicago. They're one of the teams that added World Cup stars and had a horrible month with them. When other teams like Sky Blue needed them and other teams like Houston needed them, they added them. Chicago still played their same kind of possession style. And actually, with Press even scoring some amazing goals and stuff, they only won about, one game, I believe it was, in August. Really believe they only won one game, if I'm correct. We can even check the stats, but just following them each week, it was a lot of draws, losses, and that one win, I remember, and then more draws. So I don't know what to expect with them going into the playoffs, really. As for Houston, like say it's a season of what ifs. What if they had Carly Lloyd the whole season? What if Massar started up front all season? I guess it's something to build off of. They had a great season compared to what happened last year, and hopefully next year they improve and bring in maybe more goals. Or remember, Oaks was out; she was injured, so she'll be back healthy, and that should help the defense a bit more. So we'll see how they develop next year. But really, a season of what ifs for that team in Chicago. They better get their stuff together now because they're going into a playoff game against a team that, FC Kansas City team that's been coasting, but coasting might still be enough to beat Chicago, so we'll see. Now let's jump into the game of the week. This game had a lot of talking points. It was actually pretty exciting, I think, for both parties involved. Looked like a sellout crowd. It was a sellout crowd down in the Plex. We're going to start with that Spirit fan, naturally. Tell us what you thought of your Spirit that game.
Yeah, it was a sellout. Total attendance was 5,708. So it was a huge crowd. It was like beyond packed. I felt like a sardine. I got trampled a couple of times. It was great. It was lovely. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, as far as the Spirit of that game, they were okay. It wasn't our best showing. That's a definite. Our midfield looked a little bit weak. We left a lot of space in the back at times, and we can't do that against a team like Seattle. You know, Seattle's just gonna take advantage of every opportunity we give them, and we gave them too many. And I feel like there was something was happening with Dunn. She didn't seem like she was on point to me. I don't know if that started in the midfield, and the midfield just couldn't connect with her the way she wanted them to, or what was happening there. But she had maybe 2 good opportunities as opposed to her normal 50. So, I mean, that was definitely hurting us. And like I said, I think defensively we weren't as strong as maybe we could have been. But I thought, Whitney Church was taking a lot of heat because both goals, I think, broke down the right flank where it was. But for the most part, I think she actually played a really good game. A newer player. So to put her up against the Seattle team, no matter where you put her, they're going to kind of take advantage of weaknesses.
Mm-hmm.
So I thought, in general, she actually had a really good game. Allie Krieger, everyone's been kind of talking about her playing in that midfield role, that central defending midfield position. And I thought she did well there this game. Could we have used her in the back? Yeah, probably, but I think Kim Little was quieter than usual because she had to go up against Allie Krieger all night. So I think that was a huge piece of it. Our problem was just pushing forward. We lost a lot of our second balls. We couldn't get the momentum moving forward. Every time we lost possession, Seattle was able to counter, and that ended up hurting us in the end. Seattle handed us our first home loss of the season, and now we have to play them at home, and that's going to be tough. So we'll see what comes out of that, but I don't think it was the Spirit's best performance of the season.
Yeah, people were ripping Whitney Church for her performance, but I thought she's done a serviceable job back there as a rookie. I mean, you can't get on her that much. People were just tearing her apart, saying, Krieger needs to be there. It's like, she's a rookie, and she's going against some top-class players. She's doing the best she can. Relax a bit, people. I know you want your team to be looking great going into the playoffs, especially because you're going to see this team next week, but maybe next week she'll get it, and then what are you going to say?
Yeah.
Karen, your thoughts on how the Reign played?
They were all right. Again, just like Jen Carl said, they could have been way better. I think both teams just looked tired by the time the second half started. Things got a little bit chippier because they were both tired. And I just think, just like she said, I think Allie Krieger definitely put a little bit of a muzzle on Kim Little, and it was obvious. As far as the forwards went, besides Megan Rapinoe's sit goal, I think that they were kind of quiet. Vi had a couple of really good shots, and then Ashlyn Harris did her thing and saved them because she's a badass. But then we had some problems, I think, in the back here and there as well. I don't know. I just think just across the board, we could have been a lot better. We could have been a lot stronger, and we weren't. Same goes for Washington Spirit. I expected them to come out a lot harder because obviously they wanted that home match for the semi. I was actually going, I was 60-40. I kind of wanted Washington Spirit to actually win so that we could have a final that was going to be Reign versus Spirit, because I knew that was going to be a sick game. Because right now, for me, they're the two top performing teams in the league, even though the numbers might not reflect that. But yeah, I think in general, I think Reign needs to up the ante when they go back home on Sunday if they want to beat a team that looks like they could potentially figure out the Kim Little piece, especially.
No, I felt the same way. I really wanted to see the Spirit actually get that win because even though I chose against them because I just knew the Reign to me are just on fire right now, that it would be nice to see these two teams in the final rather than going against each other next week because the two teams in between them have been just meh. And Jen Hayes, your thoughts on the overall game?
Yeah, it was kind of a quiet game for the forwards. as I said, Allie Krieger did do a good job of keeping Kim Little in check. I think part of that has to do with having a second set defensive mid next to her, because I don't think Parsons all this season really knew how to use Angela Salem properly. She works best when she has a player that can link between her in the back line and the attacking mid and the forwards. That's a system that she played for years with the Flash, and it didn't really see too much of that from her this season, but get her into that system and she can do what she does best. Sit back, get the ball to a box-to-box midfielder who can get it to the forwards, and I think together the two of them did a really good job on Little. Yeah, and shout out to Megan Oyster for being the second rookie to play every minute of every game in the season. Not the first, because Hinkle beat it to her by one day, but still she's had a really strong season coming off that first game where she had the mistake that led to the second goal. It was against the Dash. But if it weren't for Gilliland and Colaprico, she'd probably be my choice for Rookie of the Year. But going back to the game, Seattle did what they got what they had to. Thought the penalty kick was just a little bit soft, maybe not 100% sure I'd give that. Yeah, it did get a little chippy, a lot of jawing between players. Not the best advertisement for the game, but I'd say there was, like the Chicago-Houston game, it was a fair result. Hopefully these teams can put on a better show in the semifinal. So we'll see what happens in 6 days.
We'll talk about the jawing and other incidents later. Also, shout out, we had Megan Oyster on the show. Yes, I'm going to name drop real quick since there's a lot of viewers watching today. And she was amazing, and I told her she was my choice for Rookie of the Year. You can go check that episode out and many more on Off the Post's YouTube page. And I promote. But let's move on. Now it's time for some of you fans who haven't watched, we do our Sensational Six. This is where we choose 6 of the best players from that week, or players that we thought did pretty well. Sometimes I'll choose a trolling player here or there, so look out and see who I choose. We're going to go first with the Seattle Reign fan, Karen, who usually chooses Sky Blue players. Who you got?
I'm actually, I'm going to choose a Spirit player. I'm going to choose Ashlyn Harris this week.
Nice choice.
Because she kept the game from being like 4 or 5-1, honestly. There were so many, especially in the second half, there were so many shots that the Reign had that she literally pulled a save out of nowhere. She just leapt through the air. And then she also had that really sick ninja kick that she did.
Yeah.
Usually when it happened, I was like, Sensational Six player. Bam. Ninja kick. That's sick. So yeah, she's my choice.
Jen, who you got for one of your Sensational Six players of the week?
Which one?
Oh, that Spirit fan, the popular one. Sorry,
okay.
Sure.
I'm gonna take Sam Mewis for Western New York.
Oh, dang, that was mine too. Good one.
Sorry, it was either her or Sam Kerr. I was between the Sams this week.
Yeah.
So
Right.
I'm gonna take Mewy. I just thought she had a really great game. She showed up where she needed to and made the connections when they needed to happen. So I'm gonna take her on this one.
Good choice. Janae, who you got?
Well, since I could be mad that Carl took my pick, but I'm not going to. I'm going to do her a solid and pick her girl, Tobin Heath.
Okay.
Thanks for the best.
You're quite welcome, my dear. I thought she was the best player for Portland, just everywhere, doing everything for them. So Tobin Heath is my choice.
Let's see, very good. Well, I guess it's my turn. Naturally, I'm going to finally choose a Sky Blue player. I'm going to go with, easily, I'm going to go with Allie Long. No, I'm joking. We're going to go with Sam Kerr because finally no one showed the Sky Blue player I could choose him uncleanly, and she scored 2 goals for it. You can't beat that. So we're going to go with Sam Kerr. And I was going to go with Sam Mewis, to be honest, because she was a beast, so that was a good choice. All right, let's just go back down the line. Karen, who else do you have that stood out to you?
Let me look at my list and see who hasn't been chosen. A-Rod.
All right.
A-Rod hasn't been chosen. She had 2 really good goals. So yeah, A-Rod. That last goal especially was pretty cool.
All right, that was a good one. And, well, that Spirit fan did it last week, so I'm going to go with Jen Hayes this week. Who else do you have as a player that stood out for you?
Yeah, I'm going the Homer route. I'm picking Dahlkemper for my second pick. Yeah, I've been really, really critical of the season just because of her making really dumb decisions. I don't think she had one bad play the entire game. She was just on fire. So my other pick is Dahlkemper.
Very good, very good. So our choices this week: Ashton Harris for Karen, Sam Ewis for Jen Curl, Tobin Heath for Hayes, Sam Kerr, that's me, DJ, A-Rod, Karen, and Al Kemper for Hayes. Also, it was written on a napkin this week because it was the closest thing next to me. So that's a little nice insight for what happens on Off the Post, our organization.
We make a lot of money. We use napkins to write on.
We're writing on napkins. That's how we're doing things around these parts now. All right, guys, let's reflect a bit on the season, then we'll talk about the whole fish slop thing that happened because that's what you guys have been waiting for, right? So let's go first. Let's talk about some thoughts on this season, and then how the World Cup affected. Let's start with that first, actually. I'm going to start with you, Karen. How do you think the World Cup affected this season?
I thought the World Cup had a really positive effect on the season, especially after the World Cup. The viewership went up. I mean, not as much as I wanted it to, but a lot more than it was before the World Cup. I think people saw these players playing from the U.S., from Australia, England. They wanted to see them play in the league, and so they went to games. They watched the games on YouTube. The average, I believe, was 5,000 attendees per game this season, which is the best that we've gotten so far for the NWSL. So that's exciting. Yeah, brought in a lot of fans, I think. And I know a lot of people said that there was a negative effect because of the U.S. women's national team and how they, I don't even know, how they took up all of the attention and blah, blah, blah. But you know what? It got people going to the games, so that's a plus in my book.
Right on. Jen Curl, what were your thoughts on how the World Cup affected the season? Any players that you thought shouldn't be in the NWSL that are?
Thanks for that, DJ. Of course there are players I thought shouldn't be in the NWSL. There are a couple coming to mind right now. One of them starts with Lee and ends with Ann. But yeah, I kind of agree with Karen on that. The attendance just at the Spirit game on Saturday kind of told me everything I need to know. Like, it was almost a fire hazard. I thought I was going to die at a couple of points in that game. It was really great to see that kind of turnout, and I'm not sure we would have had that without the World Cup, without people coming out to see Ali Krieger, Ashlyn Harris, Haley Brasso, Megan Rapinoe, Hope Solo, everybody that just killed it at the World Cup, whether they were on the U.S. team or not. So I think that was a big thing for the World Cup, and it also, I think, helped the players a little bit, because watching the Spirit kind of play, I think once Ali and Ashlyn came back from the World Cup and started playing with the Spirit a little bit more, and I can only speak for the Spirit because I see them a lot, but they kind of brought new insight to the team. Like, okay, we encountered this at the World Cup, and this is what we did to kind of counter it. So they could bring different strategies to it. They could bring different insight from the teams that they faced there, and the other team members kind of grew a little bit because of that. So that was really nice to see. So I think all in all, the World Cup definitely did have a positive impact on what was happening in the league.
And for you, Jen Hayes, your thoughts on the World Cup, how it affected the league?
I co-sign with what those two said about that, but also another point that wasn't brought up, the World Cup did have a positive effect, not just for bringing in more fans and for helping teams, but it also gave some opportunities to players that would wouldn't even be on a roster or would be sitting on a bench. And I've seen several stories of players that were playing as quote unquote amateurs. I don't like that term. I prefer to think of them as maybe reserves or secondary. But they're now getting contracts overseas because of playing for NWSL during when the World Cup players are away. So that is one positive thing that came out of it.
Yep. Very true, very true. For me, it was the whole fact is that, I mean, I thought the attendance was going to be shot, but if they had any attendance problems, they sure made up for it the second half because some of the places were packed. It didn't even look right. I was like, oh my goodness, there's so many fans at the Spirit place. There's so many fans here in Seattle. So it looked amazing to see actually all the places filled up and not seeing them on, well, the only games they really showed on TV were the Thorn ones, but watching the games on YouTube where you would see these crowds full of people and it's like, wow, it actually looks like fans are enjoying the game. So it probably helped people learn about players they didn't know about and other things and just go out and watch good soccer because you're watching professional. You know that because it seemed like some people didn't know they were professional teams because people would even ask me, oh, they have professional teams? Yes, they do. They're professional athletes. They're better than you if you played against them, and you would be amazed at that. So it was good to watch overall how the World Cup affected. As for our own personal teams, let's start with you first, Flash fan. How do you feel about your team? How did they perform this year?
It was kind of what I expected. You know, during once the World Cup players left to till the World Cup break, we were actually doing really well. You know, other teams hadn't adjusted to not having the World Cup players, so we were getting some good points. And once the World Cup players came back and we didn't have one of our two U.S. players come back, it's kind of a nail in the coffin. You know, having such a brutal July and August really killed our season. But I thought the rookies, we had a lot of rookies. I thought they performed really well. You know, ups and downs, what you would come to expect from a team with a lot of youth, inconsistency. You know, and maybe some of the veterans could have stepped up a little bit more. But I think we have a very solid core to build on for the future. We need a few more pieces to add before we can think about getting back to winning championships. So, you know, there was a lot of disappointment, but there was also a lot of good, and I can't wait to see what we do in this off season, and I'm really looking forward to next season.
We got a comment from someone on Facebook, Russ Dads. He told me he would watch. He says, glad to hear Heath got a call for the Sensational Six this week. Thought it was a very good performance. It's easy to overlook in the game. So thank you, Russ, for watching. We appreciate the comments. Keep the comments coming on Facebook or Twitter, and we will continue to shout them out on there whenever I get to read them via my phone. Jen Carl, you have a new best friend, Russ. But tell us how you thought the Spirit performed this season.
Yay, Russ. Yeah, I mean, we had some really great off-season acquisitions. We also had some really great mid-season acquisitions. So we did well. I mean, we had some games that were less than fantastic, but we had some really great games too. I feel like we were pretty even. You know, we lost to the Reign once, we beat the Reign once. We balanced ourselves out pretty well. So I think we were consistent, and that's all the teams that made the playoffs. That's what helped them stand out. That's what got them to the playoffs, was consistency before, during, and after the World Cup. So huge for the Spirit to be able to maintain that. And I think a big part of that probably came from a lot of those new acquisitions. You know, Megan Oyster in the back, phenomenal. Also my choice for Rookie of the Year. You know, she's just been fantastic all season. Kelsey Weiss stepped up massively in the absence of Ashlyn Harris. You know, and talking about some other new acquisitions, of course, I'm going to talk about Joanna Lohman here. She was fantastic as well. You know, throwing her into our midfield combination was brilliant. Whitney Church, also been outstanding. Angela Salem, another fantastic player. So just having all of these people that we pulled in either from the draft or from other teams or, you know, Boston making terrible life choices, we managed to bring everybody together and have a very consistent team. So I think we played well, and we're not done yet. So we'll see.
We also got another comment talking about Ella Massar. I believe it's from Rebecca saying, I think it's bad about, well, I'm trying to see the comment. It's dealing with her being moved a lot in position. Also on the off the pit post page, Jen, there's a sweet Ashton Harris post from Heather. So I think you would like that. So thank you, Heather.
That.
Okay.
Pretty cool. It's just like I'm just getting all this stuff coming in this final episode. You guys are doing good. I like it, fans. Keep it coming.
Everybody's sucking up to me. This is great.
Yeah. Karen, your thoughts on how Seattle's performed?
Actually, I had a lot more fun watching them this year than I had watched them than I had watching them last year. Even though last year they kind of just like plowed through everybody last year, and it was like super surprising and crazy. But then this year they had some up games, some down games. They lost a couple of times. They tied a couple of times. And yeah, they have a really good record right now. It's 13 and something. But for the most part, they were pretty consistent. Like Carl said, the teams that are in the top are the most consistent teams. There are still some things I think we need to improve on when we go into the playoffs. But honestly, Laura Harvey, for me, is the linchpin. She is the one thing that has been keeping this team on the top, honestly. She is a fantastic coach. She makes fantastic substitutions. And you just know she knows exactly where players need to be when they need to be there. And she does it. That team, I think, probably had one of the best records during the World Cup. It's like Rapinoe and Hope Solo weren't even slightly missed. So, I mean, props to Kottmeyer, who I think when you're number 2 behind Hope Solo and you're still coming up big, that's a huge deal. And props to our midfield, because Winters, Fishlock, and Little have been unstoppable almost. Again, Ali Krieger kind of put a muzzle on Kim Little, so they need to pay attention to that. But the midfield, for the most part, has been unstoppable, and our defense has been just as good as they were last year. So that's exciting, especially because we have new pieces that have been going in. We have Vi, who came in. I was scared when Naho left, because I was kind of like, what are we going to do now? Honestly, like, Yanez was a huge deal for me going off of last season when I knew Naho wasn't coming back. I was like, she needs to step up. She did. And then Vi came in, and she was a huge, huge deal. I think Merritt Mathias has done well. Rapinoe, obviously, has done well. I think Foxhoven and Dahlstream maybe need a little bit more time next year. They're a little rusty. Obviously, they don't get very much playing time. But yeah, I think just in general, I think Seattle has been more exciting for me this year because they're not like perfect all the time. So yeah, I'm excited to see them go into the playoffs and see what else they have to offer.
Yeah, I guess it's that time for Sky Blue fans to stand up. Raise up, people, raise up. Yep, you know you want to hear us. All right. I'm going to keep it short with Sky Blue. For us, it was pretty simple. It was a tale of 2 seasons, really. The first half of the season, we were playing lob the ball forward to Nadim and see if she can get it and beat 4 defenders. Second half of the season, we were like, wow, we actually have some attacking players. Let's go forward with Kerr and KO playing an attacking position finally and see what we can do. And that's when we started to do damage, when we had our best players helping Nadim, where she wasn't feeling like she had to bully and beat everyone out to score goals. So it was great to watch once Sam Kerr and Caitlin Ford and Killian started to get better, and then Rampone in the back leading the young back line, and Kutzall. It was just great overall at the second half of the season. But we had to go through a rough first half of the season. We ended up in 8th place, but still I think there's a lot to build on with this team. I don't know if Jim's going to come back with his job, but I mean, hey, you never know. Probably a few trades or draft picks, and this team could really be something. we'll hopefully survive the Olympics and we'll be fine. But I mean, I really enjoyed Sky Blue after the World Cup. During the first half, it was just a matter of are we going to score more than 1 goal per game, and that was always no. In the second half of the season, it was like, hey, we actually really have a chance against some of the top teams in the league, and they're going to be fun to watch. So that's my overall thoughts on Sky Blue. Okay. Let's move on to the playoffs. We're only going to touch on it a little bit, the playoffs, because next week on September 12th, we're going to have a playoff special. We might have a special guest. We might not. It's in the works. We'll see what happens, people. So stay tuned with that one. We're going to just talk about our plans for the World Cup or a matchup we can't wait to see. I think I already know what 2 of these people can't wait to see, but let's start with you, Jen Hayes. What matchup can't you wait to see, or do you have any plans for the playoffs? You going to any games, that Spirit fan?
Wait. What?
Jen Carl, not you, the other one, the popular one. I keep saying.
No, I have to freaking work that weekend. I'm very upset about that. And then I might be going to dinner in Philly. That's apparently a thing now. But anyway, I'm definitely kind of excited for both, actually. But mostly the Spirit Seattle game. I do wish that we would have faced off in the final. I was really hoping for a Chicago-Washington semi. But, yeah, I think, at least I hope, that the Spirit and Reign semi is going to definitely pick up from Saturday. I think they're both going to come out a lot stronger. I think hopefully they'll get some rest in this week, so they're not as tired coming out to play that. For me, Seattle kind of might have a slight advantage. They are playing at home. But at the same point, last time we got whooped by Seattle, we came back and did the same thing to them. So it might happen again. These 2 teams are always a great matchup. I always love watching these 2 play. It's kind of like an unspoken rivalry in the league, I think, because they're both such high-quality teams with such high-quality players, and in my opinion, the 2 best coaches in the league, in Laura Harvey and Mark Parsons. So I think it's definitely going to be an absolutely phenomenal matchup, and I'm really excited to see it. On the other side of that, Chicago and Kansas City, maybe not as great of a game. I think it'll be pretty. It'll be fair. Whatever happens will be fair, I'm sure, because both of them just haven't been impressive to me lately, and I don't know why that is, but it's just been kind of. I feel like either one was playing either one of the other 2 teams. If it was Chicago and Washington, Kansas City and Seattle, or any combination of those, Chicago and Kansas City would get killed, like just because of the way they've been playing recently. So sorry, Graham, but
sorry, Graham.
They haven't stepped up lately, and I don't know if that's because they've been kind of trying to. They both knew that they clinched a playoff spot. So I think maybe they've just kind of been cruising, waiting for those playoffs to come around. At least that's what I'm hoping. I'm hoping they give us a good showing, but I'm definitely more looking forward to Seattle, Washington.
Karen, what are you looking forward to, and any plans for these playoffs?
No, I mean that night I have to do an all-night shift, so that's gonna suck. So I'm gonna be sitting on my butt all day just watching soccer because I can't do anything else. I'm more excited for the Reign Spirit matchup than I am for the Chicago Kansas City. I almost forgot the team's name. You see what I'm saying? I don't know what's going on with me and Kansas City. I was like, is Chicago playing? God, it's awful. They're such a good team. I don't know what my problem is. Anyways. We're just, yeah. Anyways, I'm more excited for the Reign Spirit matchup. I think not just because of the game on Saturday, but I just think those teams are just super exciting to watch when they play each other.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said before, for me, they're the top 2 performing teams in the league. The points might not reflect that, but they are. You have Crystal Dunn in the front for Washington. You have Nairn, you have Krieger, and then you have the back line, which has been one of the most consistently good back lines in the league. And then you have Harris, obviously, who's one of the best keepers in the world. So then you have the Reign, which has just been firing on pretty much all cylinders. So if Kim Little, Fishlock, Winters have a good game, it's pretty much everybody on the field has a good game. So we just need to find that extra piece, put them together, and then hopefully kick butt. Sorry, Spirit. I love you guys. You're my number 2 team, but I want Reign to obviously go into the final. I think, honestly, I'm being totally honest, if for some reason Spirit do come through, then for me, they're gonna win the whole thing. Whoever goes through this game is gonna win the whole game, or the whole thing.
I can agree with that. And now, Jen Hayes, what are you going to be doing these playoffs?
I actually don't have any plans per se, but I am going to watch both of them. I'll probably have to miss maybe the first half an hour of the Chicago-Kansas City game because of work duties, but I plan on watching the game in its entirety later and then, watch the Seattle-Washington game.
Mm-hmm.
I think for the Chicago-Kansas City game, if Chicago doesn't get their midfield in order because they've been kind of blah lately, Kansas City's just gonna waltz right through there. Now, Amy Rodriguez might get offside a few times because she and Crystal Dunn are the queens of that, but that's one area Chicago does need to tighten up or they're going to be in trouble. So, yeah, I think Kansas City probably will take that one. As for Seattle and Washington, Carl's going to be so mad at me. I'm going to have to go with Seattle. I think, them playing at Memorial Stadium, they've just been, they turned it around after a slow start. I just can't root against them. Although, nobody thought Kansas City would beat them in the final last year, and they won, so that's a positive thing. Anything can happen. Yeah, gonna have to go with Seattle again. Sorry, Carl.
It's fine. If we're gonna lose to anybody, I'd rather it be Seattle, I guess.
Oh, you're so cute.
See how they like each other so much, JK, on here? They're so nice to each other. Just so nice. So nice. But for me, I guess I agree with everyone else. I think the winner of that Reign versus Spirit game is going to be the one to take it all. But I'm afraid that they're going to win, and then one of those teams that have been just coasting or not playing good is going to get hot and win the whole thing. So that's a fear. As much as I would prefer one of the teams that have been playing good the whole season to actually win it, I think it's going to be one of these teams that have just been coasting, which is going to be just like one of those shockers, and everyone's going to be mad, and Twitter's going to blow up, and people are going to complain or fangirl, whatever they do. Other than that, I'm going to probably want to see the Seattle game the most because Seattle and Spirit, to me, are going to be the two exciting teams. The FC Kansas City game versus Chicago game, I'm going to just watch that just to see who wins more so than anything. Plus, I have to break down next day anyway, so I think I kind of do have to watch it. I think it's going to be a fun playoff. So, Seattle's the most powerful team, but you never know what can happen because it's only one game. It's not like they're playing a series, so anything can happen in one game. So, I think everyone, if you get the chance, definitely tune in, and then make sure to watch us September 12th at 6:30, where we'll break down the teams or everything like that, because that's going to be really fun to talk about what we think. So I really can't make too many more predictions. I might change my predictions at the end of the week. Just tune in. That's why I'm not really allowed to say too much, since I will actually have a whole show where I got to talk about these teams. All right, guys, let's jump into the whole Fishlock solo, whatever else. Who else you want to throw into it? Haley, I think Jen Carl was involved in this controversy. Let's jump right into it. We're going to. What's that, Karen?
I said Jen Carl went to jail for a little bit.
Yeah, Jen Carl went to jail. We know in Western New York she almost went to jail. We'll talk about that in another episode.
That was the night before. My jail time was the night before. I was clean for this game.
Karen, would you like to explain what happened, since I remember you were the one who posted the article, really, what people are saying, and then we will let people choose sides and get mad at each other.
I'm not going to get mad. Well, a lot of sports writers, people writing articles, have been very anti-Reign since that game happened, which I think is a little bit obnoxious and not fair. I think a lot of teams have been having games that were a little bit more rough. There are certain teams that usually play a little bit more physical, and I think both teams were a little chippy and physical, especially in the second half. And honestly, the ref had everything to do with it. The ref was like the shittiest ref I've seen in a long time. Sorry, dude, if you're watching this, you kind of suck. I think that the job of the ref is to control the game right off the bat. He didn't do that. Some players got puffy. When you get tired, you make hard challenges, and the ref needs to either give a yellow card or give a warning. He did nothing. He made bad calls the entire time. That always makes players pissed off. If the ref isn't calling the offsides right, which he wasn't doing on both sides of the field, if the ref doesn't give the advantage when the team wants it, like he did with Spirit, they could have had an advantage play. They could have scored on that play, but they didn't because he pulled it back and gave them a free kick instead, which is like ref 101. You don't do that. That's stupid. And that's the kind of stuff that makes players pissed off. Players get pissed off. They start doing things that pissed off people do on the field. So yeah, it was a rough game here and there, but honestly, I think everybody is making way too big of a deal out of some of the parts of it than there needs to be. There's always some skirmish or something on the field. At the end of the game, the players are fine. They're hugging it out. They're good. And they go into the next game. So, I mean, it's all a lot of drama that I don't think is necessary.
Speaking of drama, we know one panelist on here always loves drama. Jen Hayes, what were your thoughts on the fish stock situation?
Oh boy, Karen is about to get really, really mad at me.
It's fine.
Okay, I tried to keep an open mind. You know, I read stuff from both sides. I watched that video where Miss Fishlock explained, you know, why she thought it got a little bit chippy. You know, if it was just the refereeing calls, I can kind of let that go. But you know, Carl, you've been to Spirit games. Have there been mistakes with players' numbers, names before by the announcer? I have to ask.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay.
There were a couple of games ago that he actually missed Crystal Dunn completely, and he's always corrected their honest mistakes. You know, it's happened. Yeah. Okay.
So to want to set the point to somebody who has been there, who has heard that fact that the announcer has made mistakes. You know, she said, oh, it was a slight against Hope Solo. No, it was an honest mistake. It was quickly corrected. You see most of the Reign players, when that happened, you know, kind of laughing it off. Hope Solo kind of giving a little bit of a joking thumb down. So I think in that sense, the fact that she blamed that on the game getting so chippy was kind of taking a mistake way too far. You know, it wasn't meant as a slight against Hope. It was a mistake. You know, let it go. Mistakes happen all the time. You know, so I think she overreacted about that. So sorry if I pissed anybody off. Just my opinion. I think she's a hothead. And I think she did go a little bit too far if she got that pissed off about it. So.
She's a tiny dragon. Sometimes she spits fire. It's okay. It's fine.
I just think it's kind of a silly thing to get riled up about. Just my opinion.
No, I kind of actually agree with you. I think that she was maybe riled up about something else, and then she just kind of threw that in there. Honestly, I love her, but that's what it seemed like to me. I don't think they were actually that mad about the announcing. I don't know what was going on off the field. I just saw it was on the field, but I really don't think that was what it was. I think she just kind of said it because she was pissed about something.
But I saw that video where she made that comment. She looked dead serious about, oh, that was the reason why it got so chippy. So I think that might have been just her. I don't think anybody else on the ring was too bothered by it.
And Jim Carl, do you have anything to say about what happened? The incidents?
Not a whole lot. Karen kind of already said everything I could say about it. You know, I was there, so I did maybe see different angles than you guys did. Maybe saw things going on kind of off the stream that you guys didn't catch. But even with that, there's really not too much I can comment on. You know, what happened down in the box with Hope Solo and Haley Rosso, that seems to be what people are making the biggest deal out of. Yes, reckless things did happen. Well, the game of soccer. that's the way it is. People have tempers. People get fouled. People, you know, they foul other players. It's the game. It's the way it is. Welcome to it. Hey, but the biggest thing for me was just the reffing, because I think a lot of that maybe could have been eliminated with better reffing, and it wasn't there. You know, I said to Karen earlier, the job of the ref is to protect the players and keep the game fair, and I'm not sure the ref did either. So we're lucky we didn't end up with more serious injuries than what we had once that game started getting chippy in the second half. I'm very thankful that both sides left the field walking. So I think for me, you know, the reffing was just, it was terrible, and maybe that's what we need to be focusing on instead of just Fishlock's temper. That's my opinion. You know, I think maybe mistakes by announcers and people's tempers and things like that need to come secondary to the bigger problem, which we've had all season, that has been, you know, our players are getting injured, things are happening in games that shouldn't be happening because our refs just are not stepping up and doing what they need to do.
Even in the after the collision in the box with Hope and Rosso, the players were kind of like hovering around and kind of like arguing, which happens all the time in games. Players do that. They argue at each other. The ref was just kind of like milling around, and like he wasn't going in. He wasn't trying to like control it. He wasn't threatening cards. He wasn't giving cards. The only card that he gave out was Rosso for the original contact. And the people who were actually in there were like Fletcher and Bullock were in there just like, okay, everybody, let's go. The players were doing that instead of the referee, and that's the hugest, like, so stupid for a referee not to be involved in that.
Yeah, I'm really
It kind of reminds me of that incident when the Boston-Washington game last year where Harris apparently shoved a referee. It was that whole drama. It was that whole drama. It's kind of similar to that, you know, piss poor referee, not controlling a game, players taking matters into their own hands. So until we get better officiating, this kind of stuff is going to keep on happening.
I think that we can actually have a discussion. Probably we should just almost have an open forum discussion where we get a bunch of panelists and just talk about refereeing, because that seems to be a big topic and major issue that most people have over anything else with the league a lot of the time. So I think we should do that sometime. We'll probably set that up. I'll talk to you guys. Maybe we can do it, because it seems like we can go on for a long time about the refereeing, and people can just voice their complaints and opinions on it, and it'll be a nice open forum, kind of like this was. So thank you guys for voicing that. But we
I
shall.
think Karen and I should ref.
JK should? JK?
Yeah, we should absolutely ref.
Oh, that'd be sick, JK reffing. I'd like that. Let's see what happens.
We get a flag. We need a flag.
Yes, you get a flag. And you get a flag, and you get a flag.
I want that little spray can, too. Just be like,
me too, the magical spray.
I love the magic spray.
Absolutely perfect. I just use it in my room.
Be like, and give her like a little mustache.
All right, guys. Well, since we have so many people watching this, I want to say if you enjoyed the show to this point, make sure you subscribe and leave comments. Tell us how we did. We actually appreciate you guys coming to this end of the season spectacular. As you know, at the end of every show, we do a rant section, and this was started because of a panelist that is on this panel right now. She's the only panelist wearing glasses, and she is the reason why the rant section was started up. So, as tradition when she's on the show, Jen Hayes rants. Do you have any rants for this week?
Other than the fact that it's really, really stinking hot, yeah, I'm just about fed up with my idiotic coworkers. Seriously, I can tell them something 50 times and they'll still ask me the same dumb question. So I'm fed up with them.
Okay.
Be like they're like the freaking scarecrow with no brains. So that's what I get to deal with on a daily basis.
Well, Jen Hayes is going to lose her job because someone saw this. So.
Don't worry about it. Nobody I work with watches the show because they don't give a rat's butt about WOSO.
Yep, that's the Midwest. Jennifer Carl, aka that Spirit fan. What next do you have?
I have a theme song now. All right.
the stuttering thing.
From the 90s.
Right? It was 90s. It was.
We're going to give you some, like, MC Hammer fans, TJ.
Just start sliding.
Can't touch this.
Just slide. Jen Carl, any rants right now?
I actually don't. We, like, kind of took care of that in the big ref discussion we just had. So, I'm pretty good.
That's true. We did discuss. That was a good rant. Karen, any rants?
Yeah, just one small one. About the game that happened on Saturday. Just because I got to get it out there. I know a lot of people are giving Fishlock crap for that play on Harris. I wasn't there in person. I just watched it on the stream and then watched it over and over and over again so that I could actually see what happened. And it's just crazy to me that people think that she would intentionally take out a goalkeeper. Why would she risk getting a red card in the last game of the season that really honestly doesn't matter, and then she wouldn't be playing in the semifinal? It's bonkers to me that people actually think that would be an intentional thing. Like, yeah, maybe she shouldn't have slid like that, but honestly, the only thing that I can say that she definitely should get blamed for is being a giant dork. That was such a dorky thing to do. Like, I'm gonna slide, and I was just like, tiny dragon, stop it. I really don't think that she was endangering Harris any. I think Harris knew what was happening. They both went for it. Harris went up, she went down. That's what I think happened, and I think people are getting a little bit crazy about Jess Fishlock in that situation. You can give her crap for what she said after the game, but that, I think, is just... She did not intentionally try to hurt Ashlyn Harris. Come on.
Right.
Yeah, it's not like she's Shea Groom or anything.
Okay, we went there. We went there by mistake.
How many keepers has Shea Groom challenged this year? More than one.
That is an actual problem, I think, with the league, is that there has been a lot of player-to-keeper challenges that I think maybe refs haven't been doing a good job, I don't know, diffusing. But I don't think that was really... I don't think that was a huge problem in that game. Even the challenge on Hope, it was a reckless challenge. But, I mean, honestly, tempers got crazy. But, I mean, that happens sometimes. But, I don't know. I think that whole Fishlock Harris thing has been way overblown.
Yeah. I mean, as someone who was there, I'll give my insight a little bit. You know, Fishy did go in studs up, but I don't by any means think it was intentional. I do not think she intentionally meant any harm to Ashlyn Harris. I think, again, it was just reckless. I think she just went in. By that point, she was tired. Her temper was flared. You know, she was pissed off at the world was pissed off at her. And she just went in and played soccer. And, you know, it was definitely, again, reckless, but I don't think it was malicious by any means. So I think people are blowing it out of proportion. I could see maybe if Ash hadn't jumped and had gotten nailed and gotten hurt, maybe we'd have more of a conversation about, okay, what repercussions need to happen, you know, what's going to come from this. But the fact that Ashlyn Harris saw it coming, got out of the way, jumped, I think they managed to, even in the recklessness, managed to coordinate it so that neither one of them were going to get hurt. Yeah, I don't think it was nearly what everybody is saying it is.
Oh, since you were there, Carl, can you corroborate? Can you give any evidence of the fact of the Reign owner throwing a Spirit volunteer's cell phone?
I can talk about that. Actually, I can't talk about that for reasons.
Okay. I just, because that's another thing that's been floating around.
Yeah, I can't talk about that, but I will just say that it is league policy that owners cannot be on the field. Our owner is never on the field. The league does not allow any owners to be on the field, and that's all I'm going to say about that.
Fair enough.
All right, see, Jen Hayes, you're trying to get her to lose her job because you're about to lose yours for talking about your co-workers. So just stop right now. We're done with that. We're done. We are done. But no, we would talk about that on another date. Jen Hayes looking for a new job. Other than that, the only rant I had really was this was one actually I saw this weekend. It was from Jordan Small. She's a NWSL U.S. Women's National Team fan on Twitter, and she made a good discussion about how on Tumblr it seems as if you make a comment about certain fan groups, or I think it was supporter groups, like the Thorn supporter groups just attacked basically your comment she made. It's ridiculous. It's like you aren't on a pedestal and can tell everyone, oh, your supporter group is good because of this, oh, yours is bad because of this, just because yours is the biggest. I mean, if half of your group doesn't cheer, then you're still going to sound louder than every other supporter group, and you shouldn't feel as if you guys are the king and sitting on a throne and can dictate how other supporter groups should be or how they aren't or something. It's going to take time for other ones to grow. Some might have only 5 or 6 people. Some might have 2 people. So they're not going to be as loud or as energetic. Or like you said, Jen Carl, when you went to Boston, it was just really silent, wasn't it? Because there was like 2 people there.
Yeah, there was one with a flag and one sitting there with a soda, and I was like, okay.
Right. So how is the Thor fan if someone goes in there and makes a comment about something, about that, you all attack this person on Tumblr for just making yours sucks, blah, blah, blah. It's just like a lot of these are still taking time to grow, and they don't have that ingrown natural craze northeast or northwest fan base like you guys have. So leave them alone. Leave people alone, you keyboard warriors. It's not cool to mess with people online because you're tough that way. Other than that, I think that's everything, guys. So we did a good job. We got back on that subject about studs up and trying to make people lose jobs. Let's do the wrap up. We are going to give away something for the playoffs, and I'm going to tell you next week when we discuss it amongst ourselves what we're going to give away. We don't know yet, do we?
No.
Maybe it'll probably be a T-shirt or something. I think that'll be cool, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be cool. We'll probably just give away
like T-shirt.
Yeah, like if your favorite team. Cause those shirts are like $15, so that's nothing. That can't hurt anybody's wallet too badly. All right, guys. I am your host, DJ Redcap, with this NWSL review. It's the final one of the season, so you better soak it up. As you know, that's Karen, that's Jen Carl, a.k.a. that's in the world, and a.k.a. she's going to leave us pretty soon and start her own show. And this is Jen Hayes. We are off. We will be back September 12th at 6:30 to review the playoffs. So everyone give a wave real quick and say goodbye. We'll see you guys next time. Take care. Bye-bye. Bye-bye. Oh, I didn't press that stop. There it is. That's a stop.